Hello, everyone, and welcome to Google Cloud Next 26. It is once again great to be back live to connect with all of you. For the last 2 years, I'm sure it's been the case with you as well. The industry has really been obsessed with chat technologies, right? We've spent countless hours chatting with PDFs and querying spreadsheets. But in the world of high stakes finance, chat isn't always enough. We don't just want to talk to our data, we want our analysis to actually do something with it. And that is why we are looking to move from simple LLM wrappers to AI agents. So today we are very excited. We're going to walk you through Finsights, a solution we've been building to move beyond a prototype and into the realm of enterprise-grade agentic workflows. So let's start with the story that all of you, or even all FSI leaders, already know about. Alpha is getting harder to find, right? In 2024, Gen AI was a novelty. In 25, it was a productivity tool. And in 26, it really is the fundamental engine behind the modern financial institutions. The shift we are discussing today is the move from generative AI to agentic AI. While an LLM can summarize a 10K, an agent can download that 10K, cross-reference it with real-time market data, check it against historical quantitative trends, and then draft an investment memo that actually adheres to your specific policies. So as you can see, we're really moving from gathering information from a set of hands to building things with it, to executing on it, to acting on the information we gather. So we're going to show you how we're taking complex portfolio analysis that used to take weeks and see if we can condense that into months. Now, before we dive into the what and the how, let me introduce our team really quickly. I'm Ashwin Mishra. I'm the head of AI services for financial services and insurance at Google Cloud Consulting. My background has really been a rigorous set of engineering experiences. I've spent the last 15 years helping boardrooms understand that technology isn't just a cost center that helps you reduce your bottom line, but in fact, it's a competitive moat that can truly extend your top line as well. Joining me today is Abhilash Thuma, who's our lead enterprise architect with Google Cloud Consulting. Abhilash, over to you for introductions.
Hey, hello everyone. In my role as enterprise architect, I work with some of the Google Cloud's largest customers, helping them design and build complex cloud architectures. Over the last 15 years, I spent major amount of my time in financial services industry.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Abhilash. And as Abhilash was mentioning, our job within the professional services organization is not just to show you what's possible as a proof of concept, it's actually to show you the different types of solutions that we deploy in production for some of the world's largest management and wealth management and investment firms. So really excited to cover what we have in store today. We've got a lot to cover over the next few minutes, but here's a quick roadmap. First up, we'll start off with the challenge. I'll describe that as a data wall as the big challenge. A data wall really is a situation where our most valuable financial minds are getting bogged down in data preparation, cleaning, really diverting their focus from strategic analysis to which could be used for critical insight generation. The agentic financial analyst will be walking through. We'll really introduce the Finsights solution to you and the impact it is having on real-world analysis, really helping our customers find better alpha and apply better risk mitigation to their operations. Then we'll get into the how. This is where we'll get technical. Abhilash will talk us through the multi-agent architecture, the agent development kit, and how we use BigQuery as the data layer for agentic reasoning. And finally, we'll wrap up with AI in action through a live demo. We'll be praying to the demo gods. We'll take a deep breath and show you the solution as we're going to query live and watch the agent reason in real time. Awesome. So the core problem in financial analysis isn't really a lack of data, right? There's plenty of data out there, is the fact that it's fragmented in nature. We are really living in an era where information is abundant, but insights are scarce. Think about your current analyst workflow. They have to bounce between SEC's Edgar database for 10Ks, right? Work with other major providers for market pricing. Look at social media and geopolitical events for sentiment. And then finally, internal proprietary databases for historical performance as well. By the time an analyst has manually collected, cleaned, and correlated this data, the market has already moved, right? The alpha, which could have been observed and utilized, has already been compromised. We are asking highly skilled analysts to do low value work of data retrieval, which leaves them with almost no time for the high value work of actual synthesis and strategic decision making. This isn't just inefficient. In 2026, it really is a systematic risk that we should look to address. So how is the industry responding to this challenge, right? So we're seeing three major shifts. First up, the industry is moving towards domain-specific alpha. General purpose large language models are great for writing emails, for general productivity, right? When it comes to very specific financial time series information, they could find that a little bit challenging. This is exactly where we are looking to transition the existing tooling to purpose-built tools, optimize for harvesting subtle market inefficiencies, and achieve superior market performance. You will see this in action from the recommendations that come out of the engine when you see our multi-agent frameworks on how we focus on specific sub-applications. Second is real-time execution. We're not just looking at what happened yesterday. We are looking to deploy AI for continuous risk analytics, detecting anomalies in the trading book instantly, trying to reduce transaction costs through learning models. Finally, we're also looking to build early warning systems. By utilizing client behavioral patterns and market shifts, we can truly empower advisors to proactively intervene before a value at risk anomaly becomes a portfolio risk. This unified multi-agent approach ensures every facet of our wealth management process, from targeted alpha generation to real-time risk detection and proactive client engagement. This is all being driven by more superior domain-specific intelligence. We have seen customers experience a significant reduction in value at risk anomalies using these frameworks. And what we present today is a version of that. Now, I really want to double down on this code, right? Analysts are spending more time collecting and cleaning data than generating actionable insights. Now, hopefully this does not come as a surprise to anyone, and I'll be curious to hear all of your thoughts as well in the comment section. Let's look at the categories of the data that folks have to work with. You've got regulatory data, super dense 200 plus pages of 10Ks and proxies. You have market data that has high velocity news and social feeds. You have quantitative data, which is fundamental pricing and factor information. And finally, corporate data, which could include things like earning transcripts, investor presentations, right? These data are naturally in different formats. They don't necessarily talk to each other. They live in different silos, different formats, operate in different time scales. And also you have to keep in mind as they keep getting updated, you have to be aware of what's the latest, right? So Finsights is specifically designed to sort of tear down this data wall by using agents that can navigate all these four quadrants simultaneously. Let's look at a quick user journey, critical user journey for a typical analyst. Think of this as the day in the life that we are trying to transform. The morning of an analyst starts with research and follow-up, triaging multi-market summaries and news. This is what we describe as the grind part of the process, right? Data processing, manual cleaning, conducting correlations. Only after lunch, probably they get to some point of deep analysis, scenario testing, and financial modeling. Finally, they move to synthesis, where they summarize their findings for a review committee, By the time they deliver actionable insights at the end of the day, the window for that trade might have already closed. There's a fair bit of friction that exists in every step of the process, but it's most acute in that data processing and synthesis phase of the process, right? Now, the result is that time to insight is much extended. It can take hours instead of minutes. The result and impact of this is that our most talented analysts are spending majority of their day on preparation and much less so on strategic analysis. So our goal with Finsights really is to automate the retrieval and cleaning so that data cleaning so the analysts can spend majority of their time on the valuable activities. Now, this really brings us to the solution, which is the agentic financial analyst solution. We talk about agentic, we really mean a system that can plan, reason, and execute. This isn't just a chatbot where you type a prompt and hope for the best. We've put in effort, built additional tooling for a multi-agentic system where a root agent, coordinates conversations with specialized sub-agents, right? So there's a knowledge agent that can handle interactions with 10Ks, an analysis agent that can generate SQL queries to interact with your database systems, right? And as a result of that, we're seeing quite a lot of value. And we're seeing production deployed models achieving 88% average precision, 84% average recall in data extraction. But the stat that we found most exciting and inspiring for us was a 98% trajectory accuracy. That basically means that 98% of the time, the agent followed the correct logical steps to arrive at its conclusion. In FSI, getting the right answer for the wrong reason can actually be a nightmare. And that's why it was as important for us to get the right answer as is the process and the validation in itself as we get to it. So that's been a big focus for us. So what exactly is Finsights? Just to simplify it, really is a Google-developed AI agent designed specifically to empower data-driven decisions in the complex world of wealth management. Now, we didn't build this to be just another research tool. We built it to be a digital extension of your investment team. So with that in mind, we've anchored the Finsights mission on 4 distinct pillars. First is intelligence. It possesses deep financial domain awareness, moving beyond simple keyword search to understanding the actual context of a 10K or an earnings call. It's conversational in nature by design. It allows analysts to interact with massive data sets using natural language, making complex querying as simple as asking a colleague a question. It has actionable insights. It doesn't just return data, it synthesizes information into high-value summaries that drive immediate investment logic. And finally, it visually represents the data as well. So it goes a step further by autonomously generating charts, graphs, and visual trends required to communicate these insights effectively to stakeholders. Now, we've spent the first half of this session looking at the vision and the what. But for this room, and I know this very, very well, the how is where the real magic happens. And so to take you under the hood of our multi-agent architecture and the engineering rigor required to hit that degree of trajectory accuracy, I'm handing it over to the person who's been deep involved building the engine. It's our lead architect, Abhilash. Abhilash, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Ashwin. All right, even before we jump into how we architected, let's speak a little bit of how we evolved over time. So we started with a very simple agent. We started with a stock screener that could filter the stocks based on specific requirements, like show me the stocks which has ROIC greater than 20%, or show me the stocks which has PE ratio greater than 15 or something like that. So for this, we built everything on top of Agent Development Kit, ADK, leveraging BigQuery for our structured financial data and using GCS buckets for our unstructured data like earnings transcripts. As we matured, we moved into multi-sub agents. So this allowed us to add complexity to the prompts and also handle different kinds of scenarios like generating charts, comparing complex multiple companies, evaluating portfolios, creating scatter plots across different sectors, and so on. So when all of that was working, we pushed the agent to Agent Engine in Vertex AI. So that helped us to keep track of telemetry data and also perform tests against different versions simultaneously. Then we hooked up the agent to Gemini Enterprise. That gave us the ability to expose the agent with an enterprise grade standard and also with an user interface for different users and at scale. Finally, when all of that was working, we added like the evaluation layer. So that helped us to ensure that the outputs aren't just fast, but also factually sound. By the time we reached the production ready state, the agent demonstrated exceptional reliability across two critical dimensions: precision and logical flow. I'll explain about them a little bit later in the later slides. Now that we understood about Finsights, how we evolved over time, let's take a deeper look at how the agent is architected. Even before we jump into the Finsights architecture, let's take a quick minute to understand what it takes to build a robust agent. So we need four key components. The first one is model. This is the engine of the agent. An agent is not just limited to one model. It can route through several models depending on what kind of speed we need, the reasoning capabilities, or even like specific domain expertise. Next is tools. This is how the agent interacts with the real world. So through APIs, function calls, database connections, the agent can fetch the real-time data or even execute the transactions. Third one is orchestration. This is a manager. So it maintains the state of the conversation, decide which tools to use next, and reflect on whether the current plan is working or not. Finally, the runtime. This is the environment in which the entire system runs. So when a user invokes, this is where the prompts will run. So with all of that, now let's start at the very first thing that we need to build an efficient agent. We need quality data. This can be structured and unstructured data. For today, let's assume that we get the data from public filings, the 10Ks public filings, and also we get the data from earnings transcript. So you can directly get this kind of data from any financial data providers. For 10Ks, instead of going to company's investor relationship page, we can go to SEC filings and programmatically download all that required 10K documents. We use BigQuery notebook to programmatically download those 10Ks. And we did that for the last 10 years for 10 different companies and uploaded all of that information to GCS buckets. On the right side of the screen, you can see that all the data is downloaded into GCS buckets. Similarly, we can do the same thing for earnings transcripts and store all of that information into GCS buckets. But getting the data in the raw format isn't sufficient. We need to extract the financial metrics from those documents. Once again, we use BigQuery notebooks and created Python code that could leverage Gemini to do the data extraction. We provided the system instructions on identifying the company, the reporting period, and extracting the direct and the core financial metrics from income statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements, etc. We also use Gemini to calculate some of the derived metrics and ratios like operating margin, return on assets, debit to equity ratios, and so on. In the final step, all this extracted information is formed into a SQL statement based on a predefined schema to hold that all of that information in the BigQuery table. So by the end of this step, we curated the financial data for various companies, which can be directly queried from BigQuery. Now, we have the curated data, but what about the earnings transcripts? This is unstructured data. So we store all our earnings transcripts in the GCS buckets. So from there, we are going to use Vertex AI Search. All the data we loaded in GCS buckets is mounted as data stored in the Vertex AI Search. But can anyone guess like why we use Vertex AI Search? So the first reason is earnings transcripts are notorious. Like they have information spread across different sections, and Vertex AI Search uses multi-step reasoning to handle complex questions. Also, in finance, many times an answer is not that helpful without a source. So Vertex AI Search provides grounded responses with direct citation. It also helps in sentiment analysis and summarizations. You can turn a 60-page 10K document into 5 bullet point summary very quickly. So just to recap, till now we are able to get the 10Ks earnings transcripts for 10 different companies over the past 10 years. All the data is available either through BigQuery or through Vertex AI Search, depending on the kind of data. Now, finally, let's understand how the agent is built. So this slide shows the multi-layer architecture with specialized tools and sub-agents to handle different complex financial workflows. At the core of the solution is the agentic orchestration layer. This helps in reasoning, task delegation, and execution. So the root agent serves as a central brain, and it's a primary entry point for the user request. So it analyzes the user's intent and dynamically routes the request to most appropriate downstream tool or a sub-agent. So depending on the task, the root agent can leverage one of the three components. A BigQuery natural language to SQL tool, which is an LLM powered tool designed specifically for database interactions. It translates the natural language into BigQuery SQL, validates that SQL, the syntax, and then executes the query to retrieve the raw financial data. The second one is analysis agent. Again, this is a dedicated sub-agent optimized for data analytics. It processes the retrieved data and also it performs the complex financial transaction calculations, trend analysis in the charts, and also provides insights for the data. The third one is knowledge agent. Again, this is a sub-agent focused on the domain knowledge and education. So it uses RAG on top of the knowledge bases to answer specific financial concepts or contextual questions. And at the very bottom of the screen, you can see that there is an AI layer. So this provides the foundational intelligence, like it powers all the agents and all the tools in the system. Every component from the root agent's routing logic to the sub-agent's analytical reasoning relies on that multi-model and the reasoning capabilities of Gemini 2.5 in this case. Finally, the end users. The end users are able to access the agent to Gemini Enterprise interface. So this ensures that all the interactions are enterprise grade, compliant, and seamlessly integrated into the Google Cloud ecosystem. Now, let's take a quick look at the root agent system instructions. It has 6-step core workflow. Step 1, understand. And so in this stage, we try to understand and get the context of the user intent. The second one is construct the query. Translate the intent into executable data retrieval logic. So a SQL query is built basically. The third step is database interaction. This is the tool execution. We try to retrieve the data from the BigQuery. Step 4 is analyze. So we synthesize the data into meaningful insights. Step 5 is plotting and visualization. So it is a conditional step. So if the user asks for a particular chart or anything which is a graph, then this step gets kicked in. And then step 6 is the results and the guardrails. So we deliver all the data in a safe and a clear way so that there is no misrepresentation of that information. So we apply strict production guardrails before outputting the data. So we never want to show anything that is in the JSON format, never want to show anything in the raw CSV format. We also don't want to expose internal SQL scripts or execution errors to the user, ensuring that the query is always strictly within the domain of that financial data. So similarly, let's take a look at the sub-agent. So in this case, we are showing you the data science sub-agents. Again, one of the primary goal of this sub-agent is whenever a user asks for a visualization or a chart, this agent gets invoked. So again, it's simple. Step 1 is you understand the user's intent. Step 2 is the agent figures out which possible chart that it needs to do. If the user does not provide a specific or request a specific type of chart, then the agent will decide which chart is the most meaningful in that case. And then finally, step 3 is it generates and executes a Python script which can generate that particular chart. That will also ensure that the agent is strictly not making any assumptions, and it's only interacting with explicitly provided data through the parse prompt. So when creating charts, the agent also follows strict aesthetic guidelines like mandatory titles, guidelines, specific axis formatting, and all those. And the agent also works only with the curated list of charts. We don't want to randomly build any kind of chart based on the user request. Okay, our architecture is not complete without being able to log and monitor properly. So our architecture also has some of those core services like logging, monitoring, tracing, IAM, and so on. And we cannot trust an agent if it does not pass our strict evaluation criteria. So evaluation is an interesting topic in itself, and let's speak a little more about how we ran our evaluations. So when we are building the AI agents for financial data, sounding confident isn't just enough. The underlying data must be flawless. Unlike traditional software, agent evaluation is probabilistic. We have to constantly ask, did the agent pick the right tools? Was the execution efficient? Did it leverage memory? And so on. So to monitor this at scale, we have built a comprehensive framework testing both hard data and also the soft reasoning across three core pillars. So first one is the ground truth testing. This is the data testing itself. So we did not rely on LLM to grade the SQL. So we physically executed the agent's query against BigQuery and compared the resulting data frame row by row with a human written reference query. So this gave us an undeniable precision and recall scores. The next one is agent reasoning. So this is the logic. Stumbling upon the right answer through convoluted process going in multiple cycles is not, it won't help us scale. We score the agent step by step based on the trajectory using a golden standard path. So we try to understand what was the path the agent took and match it and validate if it used the golden standard path. This way we can avoid any unnecessary tool calls. Finally, the user-facing output, the data that's presented to the user. Once the data and the logic are verified, we use Vertex AI as an LLM as judge to evaluate the final text and what the user sees. So we grade this on a strict 0 to 2 scale to keep the quality control standardized and straightforward. All right, with that, we understood the architecture, we understood how we evaluated the agent. But if someone wants to build a similar agent, some of the things to watch out for. The first thing, build your evaluation framework as you develop the agent. It saves massive amount of time. Without an automated evaluation pipeline, every complex change or new capability requires hours of manual retesting. And you need to make sure that agent does not break. So you need that one. So an evaluation framework definitely helps you in that case. The second one is balancing latency and accuracy. Financial insights require speed, but complex reasoning takes time. So we had to carefully optimize the agent's trajectory, reducing unnecessary tool calls and also streamlining its thought process without sacrificing the analytical depth. The next one is teaching graceful failures. So we explicitly had to train the agent to admit that if it can't find the data, it can't find the data. So I cannot find the Q3 earnings is a good answer rather than hallucinating or guessing. So especially with ambiguous queries, it's far better for a financial tool to admit the lack of data than to provide an incorrect information. The fourth one is strict output schema. So financial insights are useless if they aren't easily readable, and analysts expect the data in specific formats. So if a user requests a complex scatter chart and we don't want the AI to just wing it and create it on the fly, we enforce strict rules on data preparation, data plotting, and also the formatting of the output. Finally, efficient tracing and logging. When our agent makes multiple tool calls and calculations, we must exactly know where it has arrived or how it has arrived at the answer. Robust logging lets us trace the exact trajectory to quickly debug issues or even verify the data if an analyst questions that. All right, I think those are some of the things that we want to keep in mind if someone is trying to build a similar agent. With that, we reach the last part of this presentation. Let's take a quick demo. I'm going to stop my screen and present the ADK screen where we are going to run the demo. All right, to save a little bit of time, I have pre-configured some of the prompts, and we will also do some of the live prompts, and hopefully everything works out well. So I'm starting this agent and I'm asking, so let's say we want to compare two different companies, and I'm randomly bringing up these two companies for the demo. So let's say we want to take a look at ROICs of these two companies. So how does ROIC for Apple and NVIDIA compare over the last 5 years? So we gave that question to the prompt, and then the agent was able to come back with all the metrics of ROIC for the last 5 years. It also explained what ROIC is and why is that important and all those things. But let's take a step back. If you look at this one, it's kind of a little bit too difficult to comprehend that data. Instead of this, let's ask the agent to plot a line chart with this information. So when I ask that, the agent called the backend data science agent, because remember we spoke about the data science agent, which is purely used for charting and all those things. So the agent called the backend sub agent, and then it was able to run the Python script and generate this line chart. But financial analysts have to look at several different metrics and various different viewpoints to understand a particular company. So let's understand how free cash flow for two different companies work. So in this case, I'm asking, can you show the free cash flow for NVIDIA and Apple for the last 5 years? So the agent has come back and it has shared with us the free cash flow values for the last 5 years. And it also spoke about like what is free cash flow and why it is important and so on. Now, let's take a slightly different kind of question. Like, I want to understand what is the management outlook for Google in their latest earnings. So I'm asking the agent to explain the management outlook. So it might take a little bit of time, but the agent should come back and it should help us answer that question. All right. So the agent has come back and it has provided, based on the earnings transcripts, like what management's outlook is for the Google stock. So it provided details about the revenue, the capex, and the investment that Google is making. And it's also speaking about some of the expenses and hiring costs. Okay, that is all looking good, but it's not helping me to understand or get a clear picture of the risks. So I want to ask explicitly, like, what are the risks, current risk versus the past risk? So let's ask that question. Once again, the agent is trying to analyze the earnings transcripts, and it is looking at, it should be looking at 2 years, like this, the last year and the previous year's earnings transcripts. So let's see what the agent will come back with. All right. So it has compared the 2025 and 2024 earnings transcripts, and then it has identified the new risks that were there only in the 2025 transcripts. So there was information about power and land constraints, energy costs, and also like it has highlighted what has changed in the last 2 years. So in what was there in 2024 and what was there in 2025, it was comparing all of those things. And let's see. Oh, it also has provided the risks that were omitted. And it provided a detailed summary of all the risks that it has observed. So that is a great summarization in itself. Okay, now, earlier we mentioned about an important thing about financial agents. It should not hallucinate. So if you want to, let's check our agent if it hallucinates. I went ahead and deleted all the meta stock related transcripts. And now let's ask the agent if it can find any monetization lag for investments for Meta and Google. So let's start asking that question. So search the latest earnings transcripts for Meta and Google, find all the mentions of revenue realization or monetization lag regarding their AI investments. Why did Meta's management suggest 2026 expenses would notably outpace the revenue? Let's ask this question and see what happens. Okay, the agent has come back and it's apologizing, saying that it could not find the 2025 earnings transcript for Meta, and then it's checking Google's transcripts. Let's see if it is able to find, because that is there and should be able to find. Okay, all right. So it is able to find. Okay, so it has summarized everything in one shot. So I'm unable to find the Meta, but here is the Google transcript, and this is what Google has to mention about the AI monetization. Cool, awesome. This is all great. Hey, can I rather ask a straight question instead of all these analysis and all these things, and rather have the agent just answer if I should invest in a stock or not? Maybe that makes our life much easier. So let's ask that question. Is Google a good stock to currently invest? So what the agent would do now is, because we enforce strict guidelines, we don't want to answer such kind of questions. So the agent will come back and say that I'm not able to answer this kind of question because I'm not a financial data analyst, and this is not the agent's primary purpose. So it's not going to answer that question. So I hope you liked the demo and the presentation. Thank you, everyone.